Hey guys, this is Tim with Little Crow Gunworks. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are launching a new product for retrofitting a ball mount onto the BOG Death Grip Infinite Tripod. And you think, well, why would you do such a thing? This thing already has a ball. Well, it turns out it doesn't work as well as people would like it to. So some of you may know that we launched a product last year to retrofit the regular BOG Death Grip that didn't have a ball in it, and that's been a huge success, and it's attracted a lot of attention. And because of that, what we're getting is a lot of questions about if our kit works for the Infinite, and the short answer is no. So that's why we're launching a new product. There's a few differences in the kit between what's needed to retrofit the regular Death Grip and what's needed to retrofit the Infinite. So that's what the purpose of this video is to show you why we did it and the differences between the kits. And well, we won't really go into the differences, but we'll go through this kit, show you how to disassemble this thing and how to reassemble it using the parts that we provide. So there are a little more parts involved with this kit. So the cost is a little bit different on the product. And then this product does not want to come apart nearly as easily as the regular Death Grip, and we'll go into that. So you need some more tools, and it's a little bit more difficult to get apart. So what I would say is we'll walk you through the process, and if you can get it apart to this certain point and you get it that far, then we recommend that you spring for the kit. Don't buy the kit first and then first start trying to take this thing apart, because it's not that difficult to get apart, and I'm not in control of how handy you are and what tools and resources you have at your disposal. So I want to make sure you get it far enough that I'm confident that if you order our kit, you'll be able to get it apart the rest of the way. So let's go into that. So BOG came up with the Death Grip Infinite because people wanted a tripod that had a ball mount, so that way you have the ability to correct for angle when you're out in the field, like our kit allows you to do. But the problem is an engineer built this. No, I mean, that's kind of the problem, but the issues are that most people are right-handed shooters, and this head unit has tapers on the clamp. So this tapered part is supposed to be toward the front. Well, problem number one is when you get this thing in here, if I can get it in here, the clamp knob, the tension knob, is on the right side. Well, if you're holding your gun, that doesn't really work. So, okay, you hold your gun with your left hand, you get it tightened in there. That's not that big a deal. But then you're back here with your gun, holding it with the right hand. Well, where is the tension knob for the ball? It's over here. So that doesn't work. So you either got to loosen that and turn this whole thing around so you can actually have control of the tension knob. Crazy concept. But now the head unit is backwards. Well, that's not that big a deal unless that type of thing bothers you. Then you go, okay, well, I'll just turn this thing around. Well, when you turn it around and try to put it in there, these two knobs interfere with each other. So you can't even get it in there. So you're either stuck with this thing backwards, which I mentioned in one of my other videos, or you have to reach around to loosen and tighten the knob. So and it's, it's not as smooth as it could be. There's some issues. A lot of these things with big companies, they're built to a price point, and they don't make it as perfect as they can, because they're like, well, if we make it as perfect as we can, it's got to be priced to X, and they do a case study and they don't think people will buy it at that price, and on and on and on. So, but we're getting people that have already purchased this. They go home and they go out in the field and they use it, and it's not what they want. So they call us and they say, hey, does your kit, we see it's really popular and people love it, does it work for this thing? And the short answer was no. So we had to make a new kit anyway, so we'll get into that. So the way you start taking this thing apart is you basically have to go top down. So you start out by loosening this tension knob that keeps the clamp head in there. And then we'll get to this later, about disassembly of this later. But there's two screws on the top, and they are, I believe, 4mm Allen. So you would need 4mm Allen keys to get those out. Now, our ball mount kit happens to come with a 4mm Allen key for the ball mount itself. But if you want to start disassembling this thing before you order our product, you're going to need a 4mm key. So there's 2 screws on the top here, and those come out fairly easily. That's not where the issue lies. It's as you start digging deeper into this thing where it needs some sweet talking to get it apart. So after you take these 2 out, and again, all these parts, like I recommended in the other video, I recommend you save them just in case you can't get it apart. So then once you take this clamp unit off, those 2 screws, clamp unit comes right off. Then on the top here is the ball mechanism itself. So the ball is actually part of the piece that goes through the center column of the casting, but then the retention mechanism is up on the top here. And in order to get this off, it's kind of like a crab clamp where it creates tension around the ball. So in order to get that off, you need a 2mm Allen key to take out this. There's a retainer screw on the back side of this, so you need a 2mm key to get that out, which we don't provide in the kit, so you would need that. And then once you get that out, that allows you to remove this knob, and the knob is threaded in, and there's a little thin washer here on the back side of it, so be careful, don't lose that. So there's the threaded knob and there's a little washer right here. So then put that screw back in so you don't lose it, just in case again. And then this clamp mechanism, it's on there pretty good. So now there's no bolt or knob holding it on, but it's not that easy to get off. So you can, depending on how strong you are and how handy you are, you can just kind of try to muscle it off. But we found that it was a little easier to do with a big flathead screwdriver, to basically get in between these 2 ears and twist the flathead to help pry the jaws apart, and then it pops off. Now, if you have a big flathead screwdriver, you saw that came off pretty easy. If you don't, and you're just counting on gusto, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to see if you can get it off. But once you get it off, again, hold on to it, set it aside, put it in a bag, whatever. Now, we're just down to the frame and the ball. Well, how do we get this off? You look in there, and there is a 5/16, might be metric, but I think it's 5/16 cap head bolt on the inside here. Now, we happen to have a 5/16 Allen key because we're a machine shop and we build guns and whatever else, but not everybody does. This is a big frickin' Allen key. So not everybody has one of these. And even if you do, here's the problem. You can't get the short nubby end in there far enough to get to the head. So you can't, the way it's designed, you can't get in there with the lever to crack that thing loose. So you have to put it in the long way to get it in there. And then you just got this little nub sticking out. So you can't get any pressure on that. So then you need a box end wrench to use as a cheater to bust this thing loose. And I'm 6'4", 255 pounds, and I had to get into it to crack it loose. So I don't know what torque spec they use on this thing, but it is freaking tight. So because most people don't have this, what we did is, unfortunately or fortunately for you, in the kit, we included a 5/16 socket. So it's got a 5/16 Allen on it, and it's a 3/8 drive. So that comes with the kit, and that fits in there like God made it, and you put your ratchet on there and crack it loose. So if you get to this point where you're just looking at the ball and you see that cap head screw, then I'm confident that if you have a 3/8 ratchet, you go ahead and order the kit. Everything else will come that you need, and you can then put your 5/16 Allen socket in there, and you'll be able to crack this thing loose. And then once you get that loose, you can just spin it out until the threads let go. And then this thing should come apart. Okay, so what I ended up doing to take this thing apart was, if you have a big crescent wrench, or I guess a channel lock would probably work too, or maybe even a vice grip. There's a hook on the bottom here that you can get a wrench on however you can and create some side pressure on it, basically to try to crack it loose. It's not threaded or anything, but there's enough tension there that you basically have to break the tension, and there isn't really a good way to get a hold of it. So if you do that, you can break the tension, this thing will come off. It's threaded on the bottom, obviously, for that cap head screw, but it's just a tight fit. So once you have that off, then how you get this top part off is you basically have to sweet talk it out of there. And again, there's key stock in there. So now here's your big cap head screw that I just pushed out with my thumb. Then you need either a flathead or a piece of wood dowel, piece of pipe, something to put on the bottom of this ball in here and then tap it out. I think we have a piece of bar stock here I can use. This might actually be a piece of barrel cut off. So hold on to your bar stock, and then kind of grab onto the leg at the same time. Keep this thing from moving around too much. There it goes. So then the ball and the key stock come out, and now we have just an empty center casting in the middle here. Like I said, this thing there's a lot more to taking this one apart than the regular death grip. All right, now that we have it apart, let's talk about what comes in this kit. So our regular death grip kit comes with our ball mount. It's a 40 millimeter ball mount rated to 44 pounds. It comes with our proprietary Arca plate that you attach to the bottom of the death grip clamp head unit itself. We'll go into that. And then it comes with a center column. So our regular death grip kit comes with a center column as well, but it's different than this one. The original one is longer and it's a little bit different. So this one's quite a bit shorter, but it still does the same thing. And then the bolt is a different length as well. So getting this installed is a simple matter of placing this center column in the bottom, running the bolt up through, and then threading it into the ball mount. So we'll do that quick. The assembly is much easier than the disassembly. All right, so that, once you have that in there, you can tighten that down, and like the original model, the bolt head is the same. Oops, this is a 9/16 socket, which I assume most people have. If they're disassembling stuff, they have simple hand tools. And then orient it the way that we talked about on the original video, where you basically want 2 points of contact closest to you and the one leg straight out, so that way under recoil the tripod can move in an even manner and not kickstand off one way or the other. So what we recommend is you loosen this tension knob on the side, twist the base so that 0 is facing you. This is if you're right-handed. And get that centered, and then lock this tension knob down. You basically want the 0 to line up with the space in the back of the ball mount, where the little divider is that creates tension on the ball. You line that up, tighten the knob down, and then get that centered on the back of these back 2 legs, and then you can tighten it down. And there's if you need more visuals and more close-ups of things like this, you can watch our original video. I'll link it here, so that way you can take a look at that. If you need up close and personal on how to do this, I go into that a little bit more. We have Dale's acting as our camera guy in that video. So, all right, so once you tighten that down, there's no special torque specs for that, just snug. You don't want it moving around, but don't get carried away. You just want it enough so it's not going to come loose. So now that is firmly installed and the ball mount piece of it is done. Now you have the ability to loosen our locking lever here and move this around and fix your angle out in the field. And then on the top here, you can loosen that. It comes with one quick release ARCA plate that you can use to attach to your spotting scope or digital camera, rangefinder, whatever you might have. And then we go, okay, how do we get this clamp if we still want to use this and you don't have an ARCA plate or an ARCA rail on your rifle? We still want to use this. How do we use it? Well, this plate that's on the bottom of this, it looks like an ARCA, but it's not. It's very similar, but it's a proprietary part, meaning it's not to any type of spec. It's whatever BOG needed to make it work with their parts. So the problem is when you put this in our ball mount, by the time you get it tight, depending on the tolerances of the clamp head unit, you can get it kind of tight, but it still kind of moves. So you can't ever really get it tight enough to not move. So that means this part that comes from BOG on the bottom has to go. And those screws are 4mm, which our ball does come with a 4mm Allen screw, so you can wait for ours to take this portion apart, or if you have a 4mm, you can do it ahead of time. In the interest of time, I might edit this and just cut out me taking the screws out, but it's pretty straightforward. You just need a 4mm Allen, and then these come out fairly easily, and it's rather uneventful. The problem is the difference between this kit and the original kit is you can't reuse these screws because they're tapered on the head, and our proprietary ARCA plate uses cap head screws, so there's a round squared off recess in there, and these screws don't work. So our kit comes with the screws you need. You don't have to source those. They're included. So then, that actually didn't take as long as I thought. So then once you have this off, again, set the parts aside. You're not going to need them. Now you just have the bare casting of the death grip clamp portion. And in our kit will come our proprietary ARCA plate that bolts right up to this. And again, the bolts are included. Get those out here, and this is where you need the 3/16 Allen key to install this. And these go in very easily. All right, now we have our ARCA plate installed. And you're going to want to torque those down a little bit so they don't come loose on you. You can put blue Loctite on this stuff. I personally don't really think you need to. I would recommend that this top clamp unit does have one screw holding it in place. It might not be a bad idea if you take that screw out and apply a little bit of blue Loctite, because it may come loose over time. But you can address that as needed if you need to. All right, so now that our proprietary ARCA plate is clamped on here, this is ready to go. And you can, the head itself, you can loosen this and have this retainer knob on whichever side you want. If you're right-handed, I would put it on the left side, but it doesn't matter. It's really up to you. So then get the new ARCA plate kind of centered on there, tighten it down, and you're done. And that's it. Now, you have full range and you have a ball mount that's a bit more robust, works a little better, and it's ergonomically sound where your locking knob is on the correct side if you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, you would turn it around and then it is going to be in the front. That's unavoidable, but it's ready to go. So this is something that we had to come up with because we're getting enough phone calls that guys are wanting to retrofit these, which is sad because you're already spending $340 or $330 on this tripod. at the time of this filming. And then you have to spend, you know, nearly another $200 to get it to work right. So it's sad, but you know, once you're committed, a lot of guys are at the point where they don't want to try to part with it, and they'd rather figure out how to make it work for them. So that's why we came up with it. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I keep an eye on that stuff, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. If we can't handle you in the comments, obviously you're welcome to call. We're here Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. So feel free to give us a holler. Thanks for your time. Thanks for following us along. Again, if you have any questions, let us know. But until I see you on the next one, take care.